What's going on, guys? It's Tom, or Top 10 Wrestling, and you know, they say all men are created equal, but you look at me, and you look at Samoa Joe, and you know, I'm not going to say the whole entire thing, but we all know the famous, the iconic Scott Steiner maths promo from TNA in 2008. It's one of the most infamous promos in wrestling history, just due to how absurd it is, but also how amazing it is in the fact that Scott Steiner's maths all added up and he was able to work out all these calculations in just seconds. But in that promo, Scott Steiner is referring to a triple threat match between him, Samoa Joe, and Kurt Angle for the World Heavyweight title at the Sacrifice pay-per-view. And have you ever wondered, how did that match go? Like, what happened at Sacrifice? Well, today we're going to be looking at Sacrifice 2008, reviewing the entire show and seeing if the numbers didn't lie. Before we get into it, I'd like to thank my Patreon supporters Marky D, Efran Martin, Alan Barkley, and Gravedigger33. If you guys would like to see more exclusive content from me, check out my Patreon, link in the description, would really help me out during these trying times and would be very much appreciated. But let's just get into this video, shall we? TNA Sacrifice 2008 is live from Orlando, Florida in the Impact Zone in front of 900 people. Tonight on this show, new tag team champions will be crowned from the Deuces Wild tag team tournament, but we first open up with an interview with Kurt Angle, who's saying he cannot compete tonight and he is out the triple threat match, meaning the triple threat match that Scott Steiner so heavily referenced in his famous promo isn't even happening. I mean, technically, it just means Scott Steiner's chances have increased even more of winning. The numbers don't lie. We open the show with a quarter-final match for the Deuces World Tag Team Tournament, as it's Team 3D against James Storm and Sting. The crowd are very much against Team 3D in this match, chanting Team 3D sucks, and I just want to thank the Lord, because this might be one of the only Team 3D pay-per-view matches that doesn't involve a brawl in the crowd to kick it off. At this point in TNA, especially around this point, every Team 3D pay-per-view match in TNA always had a crowd brawl, and I just hated it because it was just so boring and repetitive. Throughout this match, Sting and James Storm have some communication issues, and overall this match was pretty meh. Not bad, but not great either. It was fairly slow, and the finish sees Sting throw his own partner James Storm through a table out of frustration of James Storm basically doing nothing the entire match, and Team 3D pin him and advance to the semi-finals in the Deuces World Tag Tournament. I'll give it 2 stars. Next up, we have another quarter-final match, as it's Robert Roode and Booker T versus Christian Cage and Rhino. Roode and Booker T have lots of tension because they've been feuding for the last couple months, and Robert Roode struck down Sharmell, and Roode is furious that he is being paired with Booker T. Actually pretty decent action here. I love all the guys in this match, but it's more or less the same story as the first match. Experienced team defeat the randomized team due to tension in the randomized team. Throughout the match, Roode doesn't tag in Booker, leading to Booker tagging himself in. He gets on a roll and looks as though he's about to hit the scissors kick, but then Roode tags himself back in. Booker T is taken out the ring, and Roode is hit with the gore out of nowhere, and Rhino pins Roode to win the match for him and Christian Cage. I'll give this one 2.5 stars. Better than the first one. And next we've got the third quarter-final match of 4 tonight. We're going to have a lot of tag wrestling tonight, I'm just warning you, as it's Kip James and Matt Morgan versus LAX, and I don't know why, but I just felt like this one was going to be a snooze fest. And in all fairness, it wasn't that bad. It was the shortest of all the quarter-final matches. Morgan and James are mostly in control over Homicide in this match, but then eventually Hernandez gets in, starts dominating both Kip and Morgan. Morgan accidentally hits the carbon footprint on James, and Hernandez pins James off of Morgan's mistake to win the match. I'll give this one 2.25 stars. Better than the first one, but not as good as the second one. And then we have the final quarterfinal matchup next, as it's Super Eric and AJ Styles versus BG James and TNA Knockouts champion Awesome Kong. What a random as hell match. We got some intergender, and this is of course when Kong was just at her prime in her career. She was dominant, she was great, and her doing intergender was easily believable, let's be real. AJ and Awesome Kong facing off against each other was really surreal and awesome to watch, and overall this match was definitely my favourite of the 4 quarterfinal matches. Some really fun spots and exciting action here. Both teams surprisingly work really well together and against each other. Super Eric in particular really impressed me in this match, and the finish sees Super Eric slam Kong onto James. He tags AJ in, he then hits a tope on Kong, and then AJ botches a springboard move badly, which I assume was going to be the finish, because right after he rolls up BG James and wins the match. The botch took me out of it a bit, but nonetheless I'll give it 2.75 stars, easily the best of all the quarterfinal matches. Next up, we finally have a break from tag team wrestling as it's an X Division Terror Dome match, and oh god, the Terror Dome is literally just the Steel Asylum, the match that Homicide couldn't escape. This is an X Division title #1 contenders match. It's Curryman, Sanjay Dutt, Consequences Creed, Shark Boy, Jimmy Rave, Kaz, Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley, Johnny Devine and Black Machismo Jay Lethal, all 10 of these guys fighting for an X Division title shot. However, just before the match starts, Cornette comes out and says that now not only will the winner get an X Division title match, but the winner will take Kurt Angle's place in the main event tonight. Damn. Now obviously the idea of this stipulation really sucks, and it's really hard to see the match because of how thick the cage is and it's red, but this is the X Division. At this time in TNA, the X Division always delivered no matter what, and because there are 10 people in this match, it means there's something always happening in this match. There's some really awesome spots from the likes of Kaz, Creed, and pretty much everyone in this match. There was like a reverse Rana Tower of Doom spot, which was pretty cool. The crowd are very hot for it, and in the end, it is Kaz who wins the match, and he will be the one who will take Kurt Angle's place in the main event. 3.75 stars, really exciting match, and I think Kaz was definitely the right winner in my opinion. And next up, it's back to tag team wrestling as we go to the first semi-final match in the Deuces World Tournament. It's Team 3D versus Christian Cage and Rhino. These semi-final matches are a lot less predictable than the quarter-final matches, but still around the same quality of match. But to be fair to this match, it was probably a little better than both their first matches, but it still sort of felt like a TV match. I'll say this later on more in depth, but I feel like this show suffered quite a bit from having all these repetitive tag matches. Rhino is about to get the win, but Johnny Devine distracts the referee, and Brother Ray smacks him silly with a kendo stick, and then Devon pins Rhino to win and to advance Team 3D to the finals. I'll probably give it 2.25 stars, around the same rating as their other matches really. Up next, it's the second semi-final match of the Deuces World Tournament, AJ and Super Eric versus LAX. I reckon this could be a good one, to be honest. So let's see. Overall, there's some high-flying action from everyone involved, and it's a more fast-paced match than all the other tag matches so far on this show. Super Eric, once again, especially, I thought was really impressive in this match. But in the end, LAX win after distracting the referee and turning around AJ's pin. I'll give this one 2.75 stars. Probably the best of all the tag matches so far tonight. Still not great, obviously. And it's going to be LAX versus Team 3D in the final, which I kind of don't want to watch because the last match I watched between them was the Electric Steel Cage match, and that match sucked. Next up, we have a knockouts match. It's a 10 knockouts battle royal, but with a twist. Normal battle royal rules apply until the final 2, where it turns into a ladder match. The winner of the ladder match gets a knockouts title match, and the loser of the ladder match gets their head shaved. It's Velvet Sky, Angelina Love, Raka Khan, Salinas, Christy Hemme, ODB, Roxy Laveau, Jacqueline, Tracy Brooks, and Gail Kim. Salinas is put through the middle rope onto the floor, but it's announced that she's already been eliminated. So 30 seconds into the match, and there's a botch already. Tracy Brooks eliminates Velvet Sky, and then Tracy is eliminated by Angelina in yet another botched elimination. Raka Khan eliminates Christy Hemme. Jacqueline, ODB, and Angelina Love work together to eliminate Raka Khan. Gail Kim eliminates Jacqueline as Roxy eliminates ODB. And we're down to the final 3, meaning one more elimination, and we go to a ladder match. And it is Angelina Love who was eliminated by Roxy, meaning it's Gail Kim versus Roxy in a title shot versus hair match. However, Angelina Love has to stay at ringside because apparently Gail Kim has immunity from getting her head shaved, meaning if Roxy wins this match, then Love will have to get her head shaved because she was the last person eliminated. And Roxy and Gail Kim have a damn good ladder match here. I really liked this ladder match, and they make up for the botch fest that was the Battle Royal. Roxy is busted open and Gail Kim hits a crazy sunset flip off the top of the ladder, and Kim in the end wins after interference from Angelina Love, who badly doesn't want to get her head shaved. And of course, Roxy does get her head shaved. I'm going to give it 3 stars. I think it would have been higher had the Battle Royal not been there. That Battle Royal was really sloppy, but this ladder match itself was really nice and really good to watch. Coming up next, we have reached the finals of the Deuces Wild Tag Team Tournament. LAX versus Team 3D, TNA tag titles on the line. Right from the start, Homicide hits a huge tope on Brother Ray, and they start brawling on the outside, which I know it's not a crowd brawl, but it still kind of annoys me. Basically how this match worked was whenever Team 3D were in control, it was really slow paced, full of rest holds, etc. Whereas LAX, when they were in control, it was more fast paced and more fun to watch. At one point, Johnny Devine gets involved, but Hector Guerrero just weighs him in with a huge kendo stick shot, and LAX get the win with a border toss into a frog splash. A fairly straightforward match once again, but LAX win the tag titles, and I'll give it 2.75 stars, I think. And we are on to our main event for the world title. Samoa Joe defends against Kaz and Scott Steiner. Will Steiner mass prevail? Do the numbers lie? Let's find out. First of all, I'll say this match was fun. I liked it. Obviously, Steiner is a slower type of wrestler, whereas Samoa Joe and Kaz are really fast paced, but I feel like Scott Steiner does really well to keep up with them, and all 3 of them work really well together. And Samoa Joe, of course, he was particularly really impressive to me. He was amazing at this time in TNA. And at one point, Steiner hits the Frankensteiner on Kaz, and it looks as if he's going to win, but Joe breaks it up in one near fall. And Steiner gets many near falls in this match, and it really looked like he was going to win so many times, but in the end, the numbers lied. All men were not created equal, and Samoa Joe pinned Steiner with a Muster Buster to retain the title. Regardless of the result, I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. Really good match here, really enjoyable. Overall, I'm going to give this pay-per-view 3 stars. I feel as though the X Division match, the world title match, and the ladder match, bar the Battle Royal part, were all really good, but I feel like this show really suffered from the Knockouts Battle Royal, and all the tag matches felt very repetitive to me, and just felt like TV matches. Overall, decent pay-per-view though. I thought without the main event and X Division though, this pay-per-view would have been very average. But, you know what, fine, I'll say it. Okay? I know no one's actually asking me to say it, but Steiner lost, and I need to pay tribute to him. Because, you know, they say all men are created equal, but you look at me, you look at Samoa Joe, and you can see that statement is not true. See, normally, if you go one-on-one with another wrestler, you got a 50-50 chance of winning. But I'm a genetic freak, and I'm not normal. So you got a 25% at best at beat me. And then you add Kurt Angle to the mix, the chances of winning drastic go down. See, the 3-year sacrifice, you got a 33 1/3 chance of winning, but I got a 66 2/3 chance of winning, because Kurt Angle knows he can't beat me, and he's not even going to try. So Samoa Joe, you take the 33 1/3 chance, minus my 25% chance, and you got 8 1/3 chance of winning at sacrifice. But then, you take my 75% chance of winning if we was to go one-on-one, and then add 66 2/3%, I get a 141 2/3 chance of winning at sacrifice. Senior Joe, the numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you at sacrifice. Thank you guys for watching this video. Leave a like for Scott Steiner. We love you, Scott. One of my favorite wrestlers of all time. Like the video. Follow me on Twitter at Thompson Wrestling. Check my Patreon at link in the description. I can't speak. That has got me out of breath. Yeah, whatever. Goodbye and keep on rolling.